Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. Texas is on a bye week, or we'd probably be talking a little bit of Longhorn, so I don't want you Texas fans tuning in, think I'm too weird. Back-to-back nights with Aggie guests, back-to-back nights talking A&M football. But welcome back to the channel, Mr. Will Stone, and also welcome back, Mr. General Will. How you doing, gentlemen?
Doing great, Ghost. Appreciate you having me back.
Doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Love talking ball with you too, gentlemen. Will, you went through Saturday. Sounds like you're an every down type of guy when it comes to noise and yelling and trying to make a little bit of a difference at old Kyle Field against those Tigers.
Yeah, especially in a game like that. It wasn't it was a conference game, but on top of that, it was a big time, top 10 opponent, the third highest attended game in Kyle Field history. And if they were on offense, we were on defense. I was giving it hell. So it's certainly showing today. Today's a heck of a lot better than yesterday. So if you called me yesterday, I probably couldn't have gone. But we're going to power through tonight.
Yeah, I reached out to Will this afternoon, and he said he was about to have a little hot water, a little bit of honey to try and get himself correct. This would be a real fun matchup. The old BYU Cougars and the Texas A&M Aggies in the first round, if it played out that way. I like to think about Steve Sarkisian and what he did to those fighting Texas Aggies back in the mid '90s. There, when it comes to bowl.
He had a lot more success than Ty Detmer did. There's actually some interesting things or some interesting history with A&M BYU and bowl matchups, but we got them pretty good with Detmer, and they got us pretty good with Sarkisian.
Yeah, good point. I didn't think about the Detmer game whatsoever. Evan, welcome back, my friend. Thank you for being here. Any remarks on this or any reply to these remarks there, General?
Yeah, shout out the South Korea group chat. It's one of my favorite group chats that I'm in. And I can confirm that Clemson Pepe does sit when he uses the bathroom.
I love it. Thanks for bringing that good humor to the channel there, Mr. Grimes. I appreciate that. I do like Clemson Pepe a lot. Shout out him. We don't talk about. Yeah, fun guy for sure. I've been in a couple group chats with him in the past. I think I'm still a part of them. I don't know. The group chats are such a mess on Twitter. It's like, man, you better snooze every group chat, or your phone's gonna blow up a billion times a day. But yeah, guys, thanks. Appreciate everybody watching, everybody tuning in, whether it be on X, whether it be on YouTube. Throw a like on this video for these two. Big matchup over there in Columbia, South Carolina. You have me on the South Korea kick, man. Yeah, big time matchup. I know the Vegas spread, I want to say I've seen it in multiple places, between 3.5 points and 4 points. A&M's giving up those points, of course. How are you feeling? We'll start with you, Mr. Will. You're coming off a bye week, coming off a big win over those really impressive Oklahoma Sooners. And it's not knocking you guys for doing what you did to them. You beat a bad team into the ground, as you should. But yeah, tell me how we're feeling off the bye week, and your thoughts headed into the big game Saturday.
Yeah, so we touched a little bit before we jumped on air about how, it was a pretty stress-free game. We stayed relatively healthy. We had a couple guys that were out for that game. They're healthy now. They should play this week, depending on any unforeseen setbacks. We should get back Jared Brown, one of our leading wide receivers. DeAndre Jules, one of our backup defensive tackle, should be back. The Oklahoma game overall, 9 sacks by 9 different players shows the depth and strength of our defense. Currently, the number 4 overall defense in efficiency per ESPN. It's really something that that me as a South Carolina fan has not been used to. I think since like 2012 when Clowney was there. have we had such a dominant defense. And the offense it's close. It's young struggles, offensive line struggles that have been there. But they're working on it, and you can kind of see bits and pieces, plays that start working out later in the season. I think they're starting to get it together, and with 2 weeks to prepare for this, this is a good A&M team. Something that really hasn't been said the past couple of years. No offense, um, even though we really haven't gotten the best of y'all, but it should be a very interesting matchup. It's going to be loud. It already sold out today. So there'll be about 80,000. The players are actually calling for a blackout, so we'll see if that happens. It's a night game in Williams-Brice. A&M's very familiar with night games in Williams-Brice. 2022, the crowd really affected. I'm pretty sure it was Connor Weigman was the quarterback then too. I'm not sure.
I think Haynes King started that game and either got hurt or got yanked about halfway through. But it very similar to that Oklahoma game. We're down 17-0 just a few minutes in and tried to claw our way back and weren't able to get that done. But yeah, it was a very similar situation to the OU game a couple weeks ago.
Is it
Yeah,
that when South Carolina ran the kickoff back for a touchdown?
Yep.
Yeah, we ran. Xavier Leggett ran the opener back, and then Darius Rush had a pick, and then there was a snap miscommunication at the line, and the ball bounced off the knee of the quarterback straight into Tonka Hemingway's hands,
Yep.
and we went up 17-0, literally 3 minutes into play time. Held on. I think it was like 31-26 was the final or something like that, or 30-25 but it was similar to the Oklahoma game, but obviously we let up a couple more points.
Real
But
quick, I appreciate you stopping by, Jay Wynn. I might not allow Drew back on the channel if this is how it is. I didn't really think about that. I am all about cursing the Aggies any way possible. So you might have just unintentionally banned our buddy Drew from the channel, at least for the rest of 2024. So, but yeah, I really appreciate you being here, man. Excited to listen to these guys talk a little bit of ball. But go ahead, Will, if you had a few more things you were saying there, brother.
yeah, I just wanted to bring up how exciting. I mean, a lot of people love points. I USC money line is free money. That's right. Um, I love defense. I'm just like you were talking with Will over here about how his voice is sore. I can't speak the Sunday after. I'm one of those guys who, if we need it, I'll stand on the bleachers and tell people to get up.
That's my guy.
And I love defense, and this is the number 4 versus the number 5 efficiency ranked defenses in the country going against each other, both with O-line problems. It should be quite the sight to see defensively from both sides.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's going to be a game where it could look like a little bit of a rock fight at times. The defensive lines probably have, pretty good days. Just looking at the South Carolina offensive line, the Texas A&M offensive line. Now, does the insertion of Marcel Reed, the success of Marcel Reed, do you think that has the potential to slow down a very good front seven for South Carolina? And also, how are you feeling going into this one, buddy?
Yeah, well, I certainly want to make sure I give enough credit to South Carolina. This is a game that A&M fans are not taking lightly whatsoever. It's not that we feel like that we're going to lose, but we feel very nervous about that front seven and that defensive line. It's certainly a very, 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 very stout unit, and Sellers is an absolute dude at quarterback. So it's one that's going to be tough going in there. Night game. You referenced 2022; they were electric. That crowd was back then. Very glad that it's not. I looked this up earlier. It's not the South Carolina State Fair. I feel like that was just bad luck that we played them during the State Fair. That was just more good vibes on their side. So I'm glad that's not going on right now. But
Right.
As far as the quarterback situation, Elko said today that that the coaching staff is gonna, take a look this week and see how things look. Really, just the offense in general is still the passing game in general is something that they're trying to really work on. I think you bring up a good point against this defensive line, which is very athletic and disruptive. To have a guy like Marcel Reed who can't escape, and even if it's not a long scramble, at least buy some time with his legs, and try to look down the field to make a play. So, um, I will say though, our our offensive line has been a very very pleasant surprise this year. We are without our starting left guard, who I, uh, I glossed over a little bit last week going into LSU, and they gave us some fits on the interior. So there's a couple guys that we kind of rotate in there, but our tackles played LSU very very well. And but they're going to have their hands full with these edge rushers for South Carolina. But I'm probably more concerned with Sanders, Hemingway, and those linebackers than I am on the defensive ends. But yeah, I mean, after watching that LSU game, I don't know how you you can't play Reed just because of the spark he had and the way the offense looked in the second half.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like,
Sorry, lost you for a second. Someone tried to call me.
oh no, you're great, man. I'm sure there's that group chat coming after you, but I just, it was, and I've been a pretty big Weckman supporter, but I've said on
Me
numerous
too.
episodes that Marcel fits that system that Klein wants to run a lot better. Now the offensive line seems to perform at a much higher clip when they are run blocking compared to pass blocking.
For sure,
I shouldn't say
and
much
even
higher because you ran the ball well in the second half, but also
yeah,
Le'Veon Moss, he earned a lot of yards too. He was as
He's a
impressive
beast.
as anyone
yeah.
Saturday.
He's he's a hell of an athlete and a really tough runner. That's great for this the system that Klein wants to run. I think Aggie fans have been uh, impressed with him, but also extremely impressed with Amari Daniels, number 5, the running back. So,
Yeah,
we lost Reuben Owens in the preseason, and to only have 3 running backs going through this league it makes me nervous because it's such a physical league. We've been fortunate to have both of them, pretty much fully available in every game. And of course, EJ Smith, he does some good things when he gets in there as well. But and heck, you watch the second half, you see Amari Daniels like laying people out in the run blocking game and blocking on jet sweeps and stuff like that. So I don't know what switched, but they just looked more physical and played a lot harder in the second half. And I think having Reed, it helps the lineman out because the defense is having to account for him. They can't just put the hammer down and come after the running back. They have to wait and see who's getting the ball, and then they can make a move. But that helped our line out a lot with leverage and getting some of their guys out of position on Saturday.
I
absolutely.
do,
And go ahead, Will.
I do think that the success one. I mean, Marcel Reed is quite the athlete. It was watching like glimpses of Lamar Jackson out there on Saturday. But I do think part of it is I don't think LSU game plan to see Marcel Reed at all. It just didn't
Yeah,
look like they did. They
No,
looked lost out there on any type of zone read play. Um, they didn't contain, and if they did contain, they left wide open holes. Uh, in on the interior. One thing that I think South Carolina has an advantage versus what LSU had is one, we have a week. We have a week to game plan. Two, we've already faced Jalen Milrow. A very good mobile quarterback. While Marcel Reed is a lot thinner and faster. I think Milrow's at 230 and Marcel Reed 6'2", 180. So he's obviously going to be a little quicker. We're prepared. Our linebackers and our D linemen are fast. I mean, you see some of the clips of Dylan Stewart in the backfield in the blink of an eye. I really think it's going to come down to what we do defensively. Personally, I'm no defensive coordinator, but I trust our cornerbacks and safeties to be out on islands versus y'all's receivers and to stack the box and force Marcel Reed to beat us in the air.
that's got to be the plan, right? Like you can't just let a Marcel Reed and Amari Daniels, Le'Veon Moss control that game, dominate on the ground, because that's what we saw in the second half with A&M and LSU. Marcel, when he played 5 drives, he had to throw the ball twice. He
yeah,
Yeah,
completed both passes, but you
that's
can't
just
allow that. Yeah, go ahead.
that's something that's not a winning formula as a defense to allow them to just basically pin their heads down and run the ball every single play and y'all were getting 7, 8, 9, 10 yards a carry too.
Yeah. No, and you look at the two different games that Reed started against SEC teams. You look at Florida, where they never really adjusted, and we ran for 300, like over 300 yards. And Marcel had a decent day passing, really just like a couple big plays, but it was really, it was getting done on the ground game. And then Arkansas just played us straight up, and basically 10 guys in the box and said, you're going to have to throw to beat us because we're not going to let you just run and run, and we're going to make your quarterback throw. And honestly, even though they did that, we still, when the game was on the line, Mosh just had a hell of a drive where he just ran through guys, and we got it done anyway. And we had some turnover luck in that game as well. So I think you're absolutely right. If that's what A&M fans were just, we're excited obviously right now. Like things are, like the vibes are high, but we just don't know what we're going to see from the passing game, and from either quarterback. So I would expect that Reed plays, and if he can get something going in the passing game, even just a little bit to maybe back those guys off where they're not, just barreling down on the run every play, then A&M can have a lot of success. But if not, it's going to be a struggle. And I think either way, I'm taking the under in this game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw the under was set at like 44.5, and I was like, oh.
Hey, I think the lower this lower scoring this game is, the better it probably is for South Carolina. They
Oh,
can,
absolutely.
I don't think they can win a game that gets into the high 20s, low 30s. A&M's defense is pretty dang good, man. Very deep on the defensive line, nasty pass rush. For me, and we'll let you answer this in 1 second, Will.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate with myself here over this little rant, but I don't have a ton of confidence in Marcel if you're looking at obvious passing downs, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6 plus, whatever you want to say. But I think that people need to be patient with him. He's not been put in that spot many times, not even during the games that he's played. Hasn't looked particularly great, but he's a young quarterback that's just kind of thrust into into playing time and has handled it really well. So I don't know about you, Will. Right now, if I were an A&M guy, that's not a situation. Obviously, you don't want to see your team in that spot often because that's not like Will said earlier. It's not a good formula for a good offense. But what are your thoughts, Will? Have much confidence in him if it comes down to those obvious passing situations or that pass rush? The linebackers, they all kind of know exactly where Reed will be or what he's doing there.
Yeah. I think he does a good job of having awareness. He's not gonna, typically it doesn't take a lot of sacks. Is able to get out of there, and he's also very good at protecting the football. If he does, if it is closing in on him, he'll throw it out of bounds. He won't throw it and pull a Garrett Nussmeier and just throw it right to a defensive back 3.5 times. So that's something I do like about Marcel is he's a very, very smart player. Dad was a head football coach in college.
Yep.
At Tennessee State. So you listen to him talk. It's obviously he's very sharp, and he has the ability to throw. The one big throw he completed on Saturday was an absolute dime, but it's just
Yep.
until I see it consistently, I can't go all in, especially this week, and say, hey, he's going to go out there and light it up to the passing game. I will say. The first drive against Bowling Green, and I know it's a G5 team or whatever else, but the way Marcel was throwing it on the scripted drive to open the game, I was like, oh shit, like maybe this is our quarterback now. Like he looked really, really good, and then after that, he was just kind of you know like average as a passer. But I think when it gets in 3rd and long, or hopefully we're in 3rd and shorts, we can. I think Klein is pretty good about scheming up an open guy, and if that guy's not open, then Reed can take off. But the Gamecocks have got some very athletic guys that I'm sure they're going to use to spy him. So it's going to be an absolute chess match and battle in the trenches and with and how these coaches are going to play each other.
I agree with you there. I think that a very underrated part of the game, and maybe for outsiders like myself, will be those opening scripts. You talk about, these are going to be throws that Reed or Lenoris have made all week long. They ran through the script. They've worked on moving it down the field. They know where their receivers, tight ends, running backs, et cetera, where they're going to be. And if you can get points on the opening drive, man, 7 points in this game it's going to go a long ways here. As you talked about earlier, that expected point total is very, very low there. And so yeah, I mean, is it too early for the Lamar comparisons, Will, in your opinion? Because I mean, like he runs like him, that's for dang sure. Lamar
Um,
still struggles to throw the ball around a little bit.
that's true. I wouldn't mind if we went to an offense like the Ravens have with as physical as they are
Right.
and the success they have. But I'm like when I see people say that, like I'm like, okay, guys, like I love Marcel Reed. He's obviously a very electric runner. You go watch the juke he put on one of those Florida defenders. I think that guy still has sore ankles after that game.
Yeah.
But as far as the like. If he finishes this year out, I remember like we played against Lamar as a freshman in the Music City Bowl. We had Miles Garrett, pretty like solid defense, and like he just tore us a new one. And we're like, who the heck is this Lamar Jackson kid? And then he goes and wins the Heisman the next season. So, um, well, I'd love to see that as my old roommate Kyle Quinn. Yes, Kyle, it does sound like I've been smoking since the sixth grade or yelling for 3.5 hours at Kyle Field. But I do like the comp because he's kind of a skinnier, more explosive runner. But Lamar Jackson's one of the most electric players I've ever seen in college football. So I think the jury's still out on that one.
Well, I got a question for you.
Yeah,
How worried are you about the longevity of Marcel Reed with him being only 180 pounds? I mean, it's
yeah, no,
the SEC's got a lot of big boys. I mean, South Carolina's got a lot of hard hitters.
yeah.
You have to face Texas later in the season. I think you have what your other two games are. You should win. I don't even remember who they were, but how worried are
There's
you?
Auburn in there, but
Well,
um,
yeah,
I,
you
I,
got
know- I'm,
stop. You stop the run versus Auburn, they can't do anything.
yeah.
Uh,
No, I think it's fair. I thought that last year whenever like like you see him on film like as a recruit, you're like, okay, this kid, he's got a frame that he can fill in eventually. And then he had to come in after the first play of the ball game. Our other quarterback Henderson broke his arm, and Marcel comes in. And he had a really good game, but his frame is very slight. He's very slender built athlete, so it stands out when you watch him. And he's typically pretty good about not just not taking direct hits, but he's not going to slide every time either. Like he'll kind of when he's trying to get a first down, he'll kind of bounce around a little bit uh, and 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 take some decent hits. But I think longevity it is concerning. Like I've never wanted a college quarterback to run the ball 15, 20 times a game. I think Ghost could probably vouch for how Tom Herman used his quarterbacks and just running Ellinger into the ground. So I'd like to see it like I'd love to see Marcel take it when it's there, when it's wide open, but not running between the tackles and expose himself to a bunch of hard hits because I saw what Oklahoma or what South Carolina was doing to both Oklahoma quarterbacks and just lighting them up. So he's going to have
yeah.
to keep his head on swivel this week.
If Marcel Reed wants to fight for a couple yards, I don't know if I want to meet Nick him and Warrior, 6'3", 240-pound safety in the hole.
Yeah.
Will, we've got a fun question for Mr. Grimes here. Is Nick Harbor going to be an X factor in this game?
No comment. No, really, Nick Harbor can be a playmaker. A lot of people who don't follow South Carolina and just saw the NCAA stats, saw the 99 speed, 99 acceleration, were like, "Oh, this guy's going to win the Heisman." Well, I mean, he's very talented. He's an athlete, but he also spent all summer training for the Olympics and not with a team, and then came back in August. And he was not a wide receiver in high school. He was a defensive end, and so it's taken some time for him to learn. But obviously, you guys saw the catch against Alabama. The skills are there.
Hmm.
It's also he's a deep threat kind of guy, and if we can't develop plays because our offensive line can't hold up, then we can't get him the ball realistically. He's someone you got to let get into open field and build up speed. He's a big man.
No doubt.
Uh, so it's like, I mean, I would expect to see him in a sort of capacity that you might see some jet sweeps to him. We've done that in the past. Just deep post and go routes. Just he can be a game wrecker.
He will see the ball in this game. He,
Yes,
he will get touches.
He will touch the ball. I mean, because there's realistically, with his size and strength and speed, if you find the right plays for him, it's almost impossible to cover him.
Absolutely. I mean, a guy that's got a lot of raw skills, and later in the season, I mean, chance to work him in after he's, been a part of it, been getting used to everything so far. I'll say this, man, if you haven't tested out Nick Harbor on NCAA 25, you should do so. You can build an entire offense around that kid. It's pretty fun.
Absolute cheat code. I think my first 2 years, my first year was South Carolina. I won the Heisman with Nick Harbor, and then the second year was Lenore Sellers. Just go routes every time. It's not a. I had to like bench him in games. I was like, this is getting boring. He's too good. He's always open.
I vowed to never play that game again after last night. I'm in year 4. I did 2 seasons with Air Force, 2 seasons now with Northwestern. Won back-to-back titles, and the best head coaching offer I've gotten is North Texas. And I think I'm SEC ready. I really don't understand the hate for Coach Rusty Shackelford and how we just North Texas that we got the Virginia OC job. Like we just went like 32-1 over the last 2 years with Northwestern, and our staff just no love.
You're not lying. I took ECU, went 8-5 first year on Heisman. Then I'm in the national championship game with them now. And in the playoffs, I got the LSU head coach offered me, but I was like, I'm going to finish out the season. I'm not going to leave them right before the national championship. And then I came back the next week, and it was Bowling Green's offensive coordinator. And I think Tulane had offered me a defensive coordinator position.
Like, what are we doing out here? Like, there's no love.
If I have to, I will win 15 straight titles at Cincinnati until A&M opens up and offers me.
The worst part is after the first year. So this is funny. Like I won 2 titles with Northwestern. I played Kansas State the first year in the championship, and I played Washington State the second year. So I guess they're not impressed with the titles over those teams. I don't know what it is, but hey man, this is a King of the Hill character, brother Jonathan, great friend right here. King of the Hill reference, Rusty Shackelford, the one and only. Is that Dale Gribble? Is the one that is it? I think it's Dale that makes that reference.
Yeah.
But it probably, to your point, Jonathan, it probably is a real name of a gentleman somewhere deep in East Texas. But after the first year winning it with Northwestern, I get like the Texas DC offer, the Auburn DC offer, some random school, and then the OU head coaching gig. And like there was a part of me that was like, dang, do I take that just for a year just to prove, we can hang in the SEC, but never playing the game again. Doesn't even matter anymore. It is funny. Last week, my 4-year-old son did come in there and play a game on my dynasty with Northwestern, and which we're playing on Heisman too. And I'm running jet sweep after jet sweep after jet sweep, and a lot of inside zone mixed with that, controlling the clock, chewing clock. But he played a game in here last week, and I came in and I was like, dang, I had like a big recruiting weekend. I had like all these guys coming to the Nebraska game. I was like, why am I playing Maryland? I don't remember playing Nebraska. I go look, and we lost 55-10, and I was like, yeah, that makes a little more sense. Snuck in here and got worked on pretty good. But I was like, hey, a 4-year-old scored a touchdown on Heisman. Like, I mean,
hey, there you
honestly, the field goal might be more impressive.
Yeah, I really didn't know how that happened because he is real bad at that. Real bad. He plays on freshmen all the time. Depending on his mood, he'll win 100-0 or lose 100-0. Sometimes he just gets in lateral mode and he'll lateral for the whole hour he's playing. Just everything's a lateral. So
it's a bold strategy.
Very bold, very bold. But it is what it is. It's fun to watch him play that and learn the game and whatnot. So let me ask you this, gentlemen: if there is a player, you cannot name your quarterbacks. If there's a player that if your school wins this game, whether it be South Carolina or A&M. Who steps up? Who's the guy that you think would have the potential to have a big game here? Someone to keep an eye on, if you will.
I can go first.
Yeah.
Can I do one from each side of the ball?
I would love that. That's even better.
All right. Offensive wise, I think it's going to be if I had to pick a collective, it would be the O line. But if I had to narrow it down to one player who I think can change the game, Mazio Bennett, our freshman wide receiver. He's our leading wide receiver, 5'11", just the absolute. I mean, has the ability to change the game. Scored big touchdowns against Bama, Kentucky this year, among others. If we can get him the ball and he's able to get into space, he can really work a defense. Defensively wise, it's I got to go with DK-17, Demetrius Knight. He's one of our linebackers, absolute force, just speed, lateral, east west guy, north south, whatever you want. He's blowing up plays. In the Oklahoma game, they ran that fake punt. He diagnosed that from being like in the tackle box, sprinted out and made the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. He's just an absolute monster. But my biggest key player in this entire game will be our punter Kai Kroger. If he had the ability to win the field position battle because we're not going to score every drive. I mean, I don't foresee a 2022 Tennessee game where we score, 9 times. Um, it's going to come down to him being able to pin Texas A&M back and winning the field position battle, and that's I think he's a great punter. Really, I mean that's with these defenses how good both of them are. It's going to come down to field position, and just football guys making football plays.
Yeah.
How
Well, I
about you,
think
Stone?
we may have a good old fashioned punt off because as of this morning, our punter Tyler White secured his third SEC Special Teams Player of the Week award this season. He pinned LSU, I think, inside their 15 4 different times, which was obviously a big part in us, playing field position and winning that battle against them. And he's got a monster leg. Of course, everybody saw the one against Missouri. He probably can't do that again where it bounces out at the 1 inch line. Be great if he could, but I
Hope
think
not.
I think it's gonna be one of those things where it is field position. It is I think there's two good football coaches or coaching staffs in this game. That's going to be exciting to watch. And 17 for y'all, he definitely popped on film when I was watching Oklahoma game earlier. So that guy's a beast. But for A&M, I've got a couple names. I think whoever starts at left guard, it was I think Shanahan started redshirt freshman last game. He's looked really really good this season. Struggled in pass pro a little bit against LSU. Cam Dewberry's the other one that rotates in. I think he's a third-year player. Started, at least double-digit games in his career, and has looked much improved this season. Because our left guard's out for a couple weeks. Hope to get him back by Auburn. That's a big spot for us if we can get one of those guys to play well. On offense, I think our friend John Patterson mentioned him in the comments. Jabri Barber. Jabri was hurt in the spring. Slowly worked his way back and was on the field a couple different times, but in some other games. But he really broke out against Missouri, and then had his best year or best game of the year against Mississippi State. He's the guy that we scheme up to him on third downs, try to get him open. And get the ball to him. He catches the football. A couple of our guys struggle with drops a little bit, so he's very sure-handed, makes some tough catches, and can be explosive after the catch as well. So hopefully he can step up and be a good security blanket for Reed. On defense, I think it's Torian York. York had a great freshman season last year at linebacker. Voted team captain this season. I was going to say this about the quarterback sellers. I think he probably outweighs all of our linebackers because he's just a massive dude. But this linebacker group has been playing really well and diagnosing well and playing downhill and wrapping up. So York just had the best game of his career this week against LSU. Obviously, the pick in the fourth quarter where he baited Nussmeier into that was a thing of beauty. But he's very active in the run game, and I think if he can keep Sellers in front of him, wrap him up, and don't let him go 70 to the house, I like our chances a lot better.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I think that, both quarterbacks, obviously, for the offenses to succeed in this game, are going to have to be a part of the ground game. But then again, the defenses know that you want to limit the hits that those guys take. And so, yeah, I'd be curious to see how it all plays out, how many touches they each get in the ground game. And before we continue on, I don't want to lose the comment here. We're going to answer Mr. Wynn asking another good question. I appreciate you calling me honest, like my good friends Will and Drew. But I'll say this: if Texas shows up to Kyle Field and looks the way that we have on offense, it'd be a very tough game to win. You can't show up at Kyle Field, commit 10 penalties, have multiple turnovers, give up over 5 sacks like we've done the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, I think that Texas has a pretty dang good defense. I'm not going to say elite. I think that's a word that's tossed out far too often in regards to offenses and defenses. But I do feel very good about the matchup with our defense and the A&M offense, whether it be a Connor Wigman or whether it be a Marcel Reed. And that's not knocking either player, but there will be tape on Marcel. There will be film on Marcel. And we've been pretty dang good against the run. We've been good against everything this year, to be honest with you. So it's going to be a really fun matchup. I will say you can see the collective, I'm not calling it fear, but the collective anxiety from our side is finally reaching an appropriate level for that game. Too many people, when the schedules came out, they're automatically assuming Texas is going to go into Kyle Field and win. Then they see the Notre Dame game. They see the Texas and Michigan game. And I don't care what the records are. It does not matter in that game. I promise you that. Texas, as far as an environment-wise, they do not know what they're walking into. Texas, us fans, they don't realize what Texas is about to go into. Some of us have been there. Some of us have seen it. Some of us remember 2009 and a very outmatched A&M team almost taking down the number 2 team in the country in Texas, or I guess technically we were 3 then. I don't know. 2011, Texas is a 12-point underdog, wins that game outright. Thank you, Ryan Tannehill, for playing for us.
Is that what that line was?
It was between 11 and 12 all week.
Holy crap! I do not remember that.
Texas was bad, man.
I think, but we were both 6-5. So
y'all were top 10 coming into the year. That year was crazy.
Well, yeah,
because you had all those big leads in the first half. I think Arkansas, Oklahoma State, which I think y'all actually did beat Arkansas that year. But the Oklahoma State game, you were both top 10.
Yeah.
I think that was Des Bryant. Maybe the end.
It was
Blackman.
Blackman, yeah, he went off.
They were really good that year in 11.
The only team we didn't lead against was Oklahoma, but every other game was all turnovers and bad second halves. Obviously, Tannehill had two big ones against Texas, and it was kind of the theme of that whole year. So, that game's going to be absolute madness.
Yeah, we had
I feel you with those fourth quarter blown or second half blown losses. South Carolina against Bama and LSU led with under 6 minutes left in the fourth. So we very well could be 6-1 right now if we hit a couple field goals every now and then.
And that's why I think this matchup is getting the amount of respect and love and hype that it deserves. South Carolina, like you just mentioned, they could have very easily taken down LSU, very easily taken down Alabama, and all of a sudden, you might have a top 12, top 15 matchup here at Bryce Williams Stadium. Mr. Pierce, this is a super kind comment, man. I hope the baby and mom are all doing well. Everything's going the way that it should go, and congrats on the new addition to the family, brother, man. But
that's dedication right there.
Heck yeah, Pierce.
Man. Probably the nicest comment anyone's made in this chat. But yeah, man, it's a fun time. Definitely, I want A&M to be relevant from a selfish standpoint to where this game in late November means a lot. It's the first time we played it in over a decade. And as you just said, the last time we played, 27-25 down to literal wire, crazy plays, crazy game, crazy calls, depending on who you are. And it's 2 6-5 teams, so it tells you right there. Yeah. I don't think anybody realizes what's going down that night. And so, we'll go back to talking about your two teams this weekend. It is a big time game. Not that all the lore would be taken away from Texas and Texas A&M if a South Carolina win somehow popped up this weekend. I shouldn't say somehow. It's 4 points.
When it happens.
Let's go, Will. This is why I love you. But, it definitely would hurt the Aggies, and it would make that game overall probably just a hair bit more meaningful because you're probably playing for your playoff life. As for right now, you might have another mulligan with Texas coming to town if you are able to go 3-0 over the next few weeks, or is it 4-0, 3-0?
You're also playing most likely if South Carolina wins this weekend, A&M and Texas will be playing most likely for a spot in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
They'll both. I mean, because a one-loss SEC team versus a one-loss SEC team. Winner goes in.
High drama, high stakes.
Yeah, no, our group, and it's a little bit getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but the tiebreakers in the SEC are so confusing. Luckily we found a website that actually you can change the outcome of every single game, and it'll tell you who would win in that scenario. So that's way too early. There's things that are going to work itself out.
No, it's really going to be crazy when every SEC team loses 3 games and then South Carolina goes to the championship.
Speak it into existence, man. I love every bit
and gets a bye in the playoffs.
Right.
Yep. That 4 seeds calling our name.
Get written all over you, buddy. Mr. Wynn, I thought it was a good question. You should feel excited. A&M should be excited. I don't want to sit here and act like I know it all, but I definitely am not trying to imply that. But I was screaming for you guys to hire Mike Elko last November after y'all made that move. It felt like a lot of other people in our on my side of the rivalry, they kind of wrote Elko off as soon as he was hired, and laughed that hire off. But if you go look at the defenses that he had, the type of player he was getting at A&M when he was the defensive coordinator, I knew that the culture and the defense would be fixed pretty dang quickly. But to be fair, even when I have you guys predicted at 9-3 coming into the year, I didn't think it would be, it would look like this. And so, should be fun, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wrote A&M off after they had all those preseason injuries. That's on me. Y'all have been a pleasant surprise. In our heated SEC forced rivalry, the Bonham Trophy.
That's right. We're trying to keep it in College Station, but
yeah. Well, technically it never leaves.
Yeah.
but it's coming to Columbia this year.
I love that right there.
I think it's one of the most underrated bits in college football. There's only like a handful of fan bases that are in on it or even know about it.
Go ahead.
I was talking to a Tennessee fan a few years ago. I was like, man, like those bastards from South Carolina, I can't stand them. And he was like, South Carolina is y'all's rival? I was like, yeah, you didn't know that? Like, we play them every year.
This is where guys
I posted something on the timeline because I had a couple A&M buddies who were coming to the game, and I was like, oh, I'll put out some recs. And I was like, here you nasty Texas A&M fans go enjoy the best places in Columbia. I hope you hate it.
This is where, like you said, only a few fan bases are in on the bit. This is where like Robert Barons and Good Bull Hunting, they do so good at leaning into the bit, the rivalry that has blossomed. The whole those bastards from South Carolina talk, like all of it, I love it. It's great.
My phone actually auto corrects when I try to type in Texas A&M. It puts Texas A&M poopy.
That's pretty awesome. It takes a lot of reps.
The amount of times I typed it as a joke on the top.
That's how you know the hate's real right there.
Yeah, it's deep-rooted SEC rivalry circa 2014.
Yeah.
There you go, man. Talk about rivalry week being at the end of November most times. Well, we get a little late October elite college football rivalry. What are you saying, Will?
It's the Iron Bowl, the cocktail party, and then the bottom trophy. Everyone knows that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I might even put us above, the cocktail,
Actually,
Florida and Georgia, like they really, who are they?
I think I would probably put the Egg Bowl number 1, to be quite honest, and then Iron Bowl, then us. But I don't think anybody hates each other more than Ole Miss and Mississippi State. They literally cannot stand each other. I love watching that rivalry.
I'm
Yeah,
just glad we're
especially
all in
when they
agreement.
learn how to read.
Wow. I'm just glad we all are in agreement that the Iron Bowl is a touch overrated. At least that's what I'm taking from your SEC rivalry ranking list there, guys. I'm going to slander the hell out of that rivalry anytime that
Yeah.
I can.
I know
Guys,
that's been a topic of conversation on y'all's side this summer.
no doubt, man.
Is it safe to say that the Vandy Texas rivalry renewed? I mean, y'all are only 5 games back now against them.
4,
So,
brother. Chill out with all that. That's the funniest thing is like, I was talking to somebody and they were like, dude, I'm actually getting trolled by like Vandy fans who are like, we own you right now. And he's like, I don't know them enough to know if it's just this is a bit, they're having fun, or if they're really like, hey, Vanderbilt owns Texas. And I was like, the worst part is that even after we beat them, they're gonna just be like, oh, 8-4-1 now, still have double the win, still got double the win total.
I think South Carolina is also 1-0 all time against Texas. I'm not sure though.
Well,
yeah, we
as long as you don't show up barking at people and with the defensive line type. Well, you got a pretty dang good defensive line.
Yeah.
Bring it on. But my God, those guys were they're fun to watch from a football standpoint. They definitely played really, really well. Deserved that win at DKR. But guys, if y'all are enjoying the content, enjoying these guys, once again, with daily shows on the channel for you Aggies or Gamecocks that might be tuning in for the first time. Throw a like on the video for these two, Will and Will Action. They're doing great. They've always done great when they've been on the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, you should do that because we're talking Longhorns, Aggies, Sooners, Big Ten. We would talk Pac-12 if it was still around. Fun conference. But yeah, we cover a little bit of everybody. So come talk ball with us, hang out in the chat, all the fun things. I will say this: ever since Evan came into my life, our offense has not looked the way that it did before. So Evan, I don't know what kind of voodoo you put on us by hopping in the chat there in Georgia week, but you turn that mojo around, my man.
Here comes the block button.
Yeah, right. All right. No,
should we get some score predictions going around?
If y'all are confident and ready to make score predictions, y'all let it rip. But I didn't want to I don't know if Will does an official one on his show or channel, any of that. But if you got them, I want to hear it for sure.
All right. I sat this, molded over, slept on it. Yeah, Gamecocks 27-17. Defensive touchdown in the fourth quarter seals the game.
I like the way that you think. No offense up there, Mr. Stone, but
hey, no worries.
I like this guy. I like him. Will, do you have a prediction yet, or are you going to hang out and wait until later in the week?
Yeah, I can throw something out there. Don't rate me over the coals if it's wrong, but I hope this sounds as respectful as I mean it, because I don't want to, like, I've got a ton of respect for what Beamer's doing over there and the way that defense plays. I think our defense is a nightmare matchup for South Carolina. LSU was a nightmare for us with the way they throw the ball. Our DB stepped up and made plays when they needed to. But I think South Carolina's offensive line against our D line, which it's such a mirror image of each other in this game. But I think A&M just gets a little bit more out of their offense than the Gamecocks do in this one. And I like us as like a 17-10 or 17-9 type game.
I definitely see the low scoring games. That is what I expect. I think the defenses both played really, really well.
Yeah.
I normally wait until Thursday to give out all predictions, but out of love and respect for the Bonham Trophy rivalry, or whatever the hell you guys call this shindig, and this is going to sound bad. This is going to sound disrespectful. Oh man, taking South Carolina to win. I'll say that. I'm not dropping a score yet. I'm going to take South Carolina in this game. I think that the way that they came off a bye week against Ole Miss was very embarrassing. Before the Ole Miss game was embarrassing. They laid an egg there, no pun intended.
Nice.
And so, but yeah, laid an egg there. Looked really, really bad. I think they'll have an emphasis on focus throughout the bye week, and they show up playing a really, really hot A&M team. But we'll see if Marcel can beat South Carolina with his arm. I think that's what it comes down to. I think they forced that issue. But on the other side, Lenoris is going to have to have some passes as well. Like, both of you guys just kind of talked about for the last, 50 minutes now. Turnovers, field position, running the football. Old school coach speak, right? But it's true as ever in this game. Will mentioned the punting game for South Carolina. The other Will mentioned the punting game for A&M with Tyler White. So, hey, I wouldn't be surprised by any result in this one. You could tell me South Carolina wins by 10, I wouldn't be shocked. You could tell me A&M wins by 17, I wouldn't be shocked.
Crazy things happen Saturday night in South Carolina.
And
at the Willie B.
I'm saying, man, and Willie B, they deserved a little more against LSU. They didn't get what they deserved. They never had a chance with Ole Miss. And so for the love of the cockpit, for the love of all things Gamecocks, I'm rolling with Shane Beamer and the boys.
Go Cocks.
Emily knows I've been picking A&M literally
I was about
all
to
year
say,
long, my life, all of my accounts life, rather. I have picked A&M, even most times thinking they're going to win. Sorry for all the jumbo picks. I had y'all like at 11-1 the first year that I did a preview or a prediction or whatever on the timeline. 11-1. Oh, man. Live and learn, right? But
Yep.
I've got South Carolina and Taiwan. I'll have a score later in the week. But, gentlemen, thank you for both being here with me. It means a lot. Look forward to having you both back on. You will both back on, pending invite acceptance, of course. But
Absolutely.
we'd love to have you back. Maybe we do something after the game. Best of luck to both teams this Saturday. Any parting words before you get out of here and go enjoy the rest of your weeks?
Thanks and gig 'em.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Go Cox.
There we go, guys. Y'all have a great rest of your week. We'll be back tomorrow night talking a little Texas, and we got to also break it down with some Oregon Duck, I guess, and have a little fun talking about the